Welcome back to Dynasties and Tales. Today we're exploring the life and reign of one of the most celebrated figures in ancient history. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. His rule wasn't just long, it was legendary, filled with monumental achievements in politics, warfare, and construction. Buckle up as we journey back over 3,000 years to discover why Ramses II remains one of the most iconic pharaohs of ancient Egypt. But before we do, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ramses II was born in 1303 BCE during the 19th dynasty of Egypt, the son of Pharaoh Seti I and Queen Tuya. From an early age, Ramses was groomed for leadership, accompanying his father on military campaigns and learning the art of governance. When Seti first passed away, Ramses ascended the throne in 1279 BCE at the age of just 24. He inherited a powerful and stable kingdom, thanks to his father's diplomatic and military efforts. But Ramses wasn't content to maintain the status quo. He sought to expand Egypt's influence and cement his legacy as a ruler like no other. When Ramses ascended the throne in 1279 BCE, Egypt was already a formidable power, but it faced constant challenges from neighboring states. One of Ramses' earliest campaigns was against the Shurden sea raiders, who had been terrorizing Egypt's Mediterranean coast. Ramses not only defeated them, but also incorporated captured Shurden warriors into his own army, showcasing his ability to turn enemies into assets. This early victory set the tone for his reign, demonstrating his military acumen and his capacity to adapt. However, the most famous military engagement of Ramses' career came in 1274 BCE at the Battle of Kadesh. This confrontation with the Hittite Empire was a defining moment in ancient military history. Kadesh, a strategic city in modern-day Syria, was a contested prize that both Egypt and the Hittites sought to control. Ramses led his army of around 20,000 men into battle, but his confidence nearly cost him dearly. He advanced ahead of his main force, only to be ambushed by the Hittites. It was a precarious situation, one that could have ended in disaster, but Ramses turned the tide. According to his inscriptions, he rallied his troops and led a dramatic counterattack, pushing the Hittites back. While the battle is often described as a draw by modern historians, Ramses declared it a resounding victory. He immortalized his version of events in grand inscriptions across Egypt, from the walls of the Ramesseum to the temples of Luxor and Abu Simbel. These depictions show Ramses as a lone hero, wielding his bow and chariot with divine strength. Whether or not these accounts were entirely accurate, they solidified Ramses' image as an unbeatable warrior king. The aftermath of Kadesh was just as significant as the battle itself. After years of skirmishes, Ramses and the Hittite king, Hattusili III, negotiated the first recorded peace treaty in history. This agreement established a boundary between their empires and ushered in a period of relative stability. While Ramses' inscriptions frame the treaty as his triumph, it was also a pragmatic move that allowed both empires to focus on internal affairs and external threats. Ramses didn't stop at Kadesh. His campaigns extended into Nubia to the south, where he secured vital resources like gold and strengthened Egypt's southern borders. He also led expeditions into Libya and the Levant, maintaining Egypt's influence over vassal states and trade routes. These campaigns were not just about conquest, they were about control and showcasing Egypt's power on the international stage. Throughout his reign, Ramses carefully crafted a narrative of military success. His temples and monuments are adorned with scenes of him smiting his enemies, standing triumphant over vanquished foes. These images weren't just artistic, they were propaganda, meant to remind his subjects and rivals alike of his strength. His military campaigns weren't just about expanding Egypt's territory. They were about maintaining order and projecting his image as a ruler chosen by the gods to protect and lead his people. Ramses' military legacy is one of both action and perception. While not all his battles were outright victories, he understood the power of storytelling in shaping his image. By immortalizing his campaigns in stone, he ensured that his reputation as a warrior pharaoh would endure for millennia. Ramses envisioned his reign as one that would not just preserve Egypt's greatness, but magnify it. To do so, he turned to monumental architecture. In ancient Egypt, building temples and statues wasn't just about construction. It was a way for pharaohs to communicate their divine authority, showcase their achievements, and immortalize their presence. Ramses took this concept to an entirely new level, leaving his mark across the empire in ways that were as deliberate as they were awe-inspiring. Take the Great Temple of Abu Simbel, for example. This masterpiece was built in Egypt's southernmost region, near the Nubian border. Its location was no accident. It was strategically placed to remind Nubia, a crucial region for trade and resources, of Egypt's dominance. The temple's facade features 4 colossal statues of Ramses himself, each over 65 feet tall, staring out over the land like eternal sentinels. But the temple wasn't just an imposing statement to foreign lands. It was also a spiritual and cosmic marvel. Twice a year, the sun's rays penetrate deep into the temple's inner sanctum, illuminating statues of Ramses alongside the gods he worshipped. This wasn't just architecture. It was a declaration of Ramses' divine connection, his power, and his eternal place in the cosmos. Moving north to Thebes, another of Ramses' monumental projects, the Ramesseum, served as his mortuary temple, a space dedicated to his memory and to the worship of the gods. The Ramesseum was a grand complex filled with towering columns, elaborate reliefs, and massive statues. One of these statues, though now a broken fragment, originally stood over 60 feet tall. Even in its ruinous state, it's easy to imagine the sheer scale and impact it must have had. The temple walls were inscribed with scenes of Ramses' military victories and achievements, particularly his exploits at the Battle of Kadesh. These images weren't just records. They were propaganda, carefully crafted to portray Ramses as a victorious and unstoppable warrior. But Ramses didn't stop at building new monuments. He also mastered the art of repurposing. He often took existing structures from previous pharaohs, carved away their names, and replaced them with his own. This wasn't laziness, it was strategy. By claiming the works of his predecessors, Ramses aligned himself with Egypt's ancient traditions and projected the image of a ruler who embodied the greatness of all those who came before him. Everywhere you went in Egypt, from temples to statues to inscriptions, you'd find Ramses' name. His presence was inescapable, a constant reminder of his authority and his divine connection. Another way Ramses cemented his legacy was through the sheer number of his statues. There were hundreds of them, ranging from small carvings to towering colossi. Many depict him in idealized poses, striding forward with confidence, seated regally on a throne, or standing alongside gods like Amun and Ra. These weren't just representations of Ramses the man, they were symbols of his role as a divine ruler. By associating himself with the gods, Ramses emphasized that his reign wasn't just political, it was cosmic, ordained by the divine forces that govern the universe. What's remarkable about Ramses' monuments is that they weren't just for his contemporaries, they were built for eternity. He understood that stone could outlast generations, even civilizations. His temples, statues, and inscriptions ensured that his name and image would endure long after his death. And it worked. Over 3,000 years later, Ramses II is one of the most recognizable figures of ancient Egypt. His monuments continue to inspire awe and fascination, drawing visitors from around the world. So, why does Ramses II remain one of history's most iconic rulers? His military prowess, architectural achievements, and diplomatic skill set him apart as a leader who shaped the course of ancient Egypt. But he was also a master of self-promotion, ensuring his legacy endured for millennia. What do you think of Ramses the Great? Was he truly Egypt's greatest pharaoh, or was his reputation built on clever propaganda? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the fascinating world of history. This is Dynasties and Tales bringing history to life, and see you next time.